Chosen one, what I'm about to reveal will fundamentally shift your understanding of every animal encounter you've experienced, because those weren't random moments, those weren't coincidental meetings, those weren't accidental interactions. Animals gravitate to you for reasons that go deeper than most humans can comprehend, for purposes that transcend ordinary understanding, for connections that operate in dimensions beyond normal perception. While others walk through nature barely noticed by the creatures around them, you attract attention from animals in ways that seem almost magical, almost supernatural, almost impossible to explain through conventional understanding. Tonight, you're going to discover exactly why animals are drawn to you with an intensity that others don't experience. You're going to understand what these encounters mean on a spiritual level, what messages are being communicated through these connections, what truths are being revealed through these interactions. This isn't about you being a Disney princess or having some special animal magnetism in the normal sense. This is about frequency, about energy, about the way your consciousness operates at a level that animals recognize instinctively, respond to naturally, gravitate toward inevitably. Animals operate in dimensions of awareness that most humans have lost access to through generations of disconnection from nature, through centuries of prioritizing logic over intuition, through decades of trusting technology more than instinct. But you, chosen one, you still carry frequencies that animals recognize, vibrations that creatures respond to, energies that beings of nature are drawn toward like moths to flame, like rivers to ocean, like souls to source. Every encounter you've had with an animal was a message. Every interaction was communication. Every connection was confirmation of something operating in you that others don't possess, something functioning in your energy field that others can't access, something radiating from your consciousness that animals sense before you even know they're present. You've probably noticed it your entire life but dismissed it as coincidence, explained it away as chance, rationalized it through normal frameworks that couldn't quite account for the consistency, the intensity, the undeniable pattern of animals seeking you out, choosing you specifically, connecting with you differently than they do with others around you. Let me tell you about the first type of encounter that reveals your chosen nature. When wild animals approach you without fear. This isn't normal behavior. Wild animals are designed by nature to maintain distance from humans, to exercise caution around our species, to preserve boundaries that keep them safe. Generations of survival instinct have programmed them to be wary, to be careful, to maintain protective distance from potential threats. Yet when they encounter you, something overrides that programming, something bypasses those instincts. Something tells them on a level deeper than learned behavior that you're safe, that you're different, that you're someone who can be trusted despite belonging to a species they normally avoid. You've experienced this. A deer approaching you in the woods when it should have bolted at your scent. A fox sitting calmly near you when it should have disappeared into the brush. A wild bird landing on your shoulder or hand when it should have maintained distance. These aren't coincidences, these are recognitions. The animal's consciousness operating without the filters and doubts that cloud human perception recognizes something in your energy field that signals safety, that broadcasts peace, that radiates a frequency indicating you're not a threat but a kindred spirit, not a danger but an ally, not a predator but a protector. What's happening in these moments goes beyond the physical. The animal is reading your energy signature, sensing your vibrational frequency, perceiving your consciousness in ways that transcend the 5 physical senses. Your energy field carries markers, frequencies, vibrations that tell the animal's instinctive awareness that you're operating from a place of love rather than fear, from connection rather than separation, from unity rather than division. And because animals haven't lost their ability to perceive these dimensions of reality because they still trust their energetic senses as much as their physical ones, They respond to what they feel in you even when their survival instincts would normally demand retreat. This is confirmation that you carry divine frequency, that your consciousness operates at levels closer to source than the typical human experience, that something in you has remained connected to the natural order in ways that most people lost generations ago. The animals know. They recognize, they respond, and their approach without fear is their way of acknowledging what you are, confirming what you carry, validating what operates in you that makes you different from the masses of humans they've learned to fear. The second type of encounter that reveals your chosen nature is when animals seek you out for healing or help. This is even more profound than simple approach. This is animals in distress, in pain, in need, somehow finding their way to you specifically. Choosing you among all available humans, trusting you with their vulnerability in ways that defy logical explanation. You've had this happen. A bird with a broken wing appearing on your doorstep, a stray dog following you home despite having passed dozens of other humans, a wild animal approaching you in obvious distress, seeking something it somehow knows you can provide. These encounters aren't random. Animals don't operate on hope or chance when their survival is at stake. They operate on instinct, on perception, on senses that humans have largely forgotten how to use. And those senses are telling them something about you, showing them something in your energy field, revealing something about your consciousness that indicates you can help, that you will help, that you're someone who carries healing energy, protective frequency, nurturing vibration. What you need to understand is that animals can sense healing energy before it manifests in action. They can feel compassion as a tangible frequency in your field. They can perceive your capacity for care as an actual vibration emanating from your consciousness. While you might just think you're a caring person, animals read this as energy, as frequency, as vibration that tells them on a cellular level that you're safe to approach with vulnerability, that you won't harm them in their weakness, that you'll provide the help their instincts tell them you're capable of providing. This is why injured animals find you. This is why creatures in distress seek you out. This is why beings in need somehow navigate to your presence among all the humans they could have encountered. Your energy field carries frequencies of healing, compassion, protection that animals perceive as clearly as you perceive colors with your eyes, as distinctly as you hear sounds with your ears, as definitely as you feel textures with your skin. To them, your healing energy is as real and as perceptible as any physical characteristic, as obvious and as clear as any visible feature. When this happens to you, understand that you're being confirmed in your role as a healer, as someone who carries frequencies that restore and protect, as a consciousness that operates at levels capable of supporting life, nurturing growth, facilitating recovery. The animals are showing you what you are before you might fully recognize it yourself, reflecting back to you what you carry before you might completely own it consciously, demonstrating through their trust what you're capable of before you might fully believe it mentally. The third type of encounter that reveals your chosen nature is when animals act as messengers or warnings. This is when animals appear at significant moments with timing too perfect to be coincidental, with behavior too specific to be random, with presence too meaningful to be accidental. A hawk circling overhead right before you make a major decision. A black cat crossing your path before an encounter you needed warning about. An owl appearing repeatedly during a period of transition when you needed wisdom to navigate change. A butterfly landing on you at the exact moment you were thinking about a deceased loved one. These aren't coincidences, these are communications. In spiritual traditions across cultures and centuries, animals have been recognized as messengers from realms beyond the physical, as carriers of guidance from dimensions humans can't directly access, as bridges between the visible and invisible, the known and unknown, the manifest and unmanifest. And certain humans, the ones operating at higher frequencies, the ones maintaining connection to dimensions beyond the purely material, the ones carrying consciousness that bridges worlds, these humans receive these messages more frequently, more clearly, more obviously than the general population. You're one of these humans. Your consciousness operates at a frequency that makes you accessible to guidance from non-physical dimensions. Your energy field functions as a receiver for communications from realms beyond the material. Your awareness maintains openness to messages from sources that can't communicate with you directly, but can work through animals, through nature, through the beings who move between worlds more easily than humans, whose consciousness has become trapped in purely material perception. When an animal appears to you at a significant moment, pay attention to the species, the behavior, the timing, the feeling you get in that encounter. Each detail carries meaning. Each aspect communicates something specific. The universe, divine intelligence, your higher self, your guides, your ancestors, whatever terminology resonates with your understanding, these forces work through available channels to get messages to you when you need them. And animals, still connected to natural order, still operating from instinctive awareness, still perceiving dimensions beyond the purely physical, these creatures serve as perfect messengers for guidance that needs to reach you. The specific animal carries specific meaning. Birds generally relate to perspective, to seeing from higher vantage points, to messages about rising above situations to gain clarity. Predators relate to power, to claiming your strength, to messages about stepping into leadership or protection. Prey animals relate to intuition, to gentleness, to messages about trusting your sensitivity as power rather than weakness. Water animals relate to emotions, to depth, to messages about what's operating beneath the surface of your conscious awareness. But beyond these general associations, trust your own intuition about what the animal means to you specifically. What feelings arise when you see it? What thoughts come to mind when it appears? What memories or associations surface in connection with this creature? Your personal symbolism matters more than generic interpretations because the message is for you specifically. The communication is targeted to your unique consciousness. The guidance is calibrated to your particular situation and needs. The fourth type of encounter that reveals your chosen nature is when animals behave unusually in your presence. This is when creatures act in ways that contradict their normal behavior patterns, specifically when you're around, when they demonstrate responses that seem to defy their species' typical characteristics, when they show behavior that even experienced animal handlers would consider unusual or unexpected. Dogs that are aggressive with everyone else becoming gentle with you. Cats that avoid humans seeking out your attention. Birds don't typically approach people landing near you repeatedly. Wild animals that normally maintain strict distance lingering in your presence. What's happening here is that your energy field is affecting the animal's behavior. Your frequency is influencing the creature's state. Your consciousness is interacting with the animal's awareness in ways that create behavioral changes. This isn't manipulation. This isn't control. This is resonance. Your energy operates at frequencies that create calm, that generate peace, that produce states of ease in the nervous systems of creatures who normally operate from high alert, from protective caution, from survival-based wariness. Think of it like this. Fear operates at certain frequencies. Anxiety vibrates at particular rates. Aggression resonates at specific patterns. Your consciousness, because of your spiritual development, because of your energetic evolution, because of your connection to source frequencies, operates at vibrations that literally calm these lower frequency states. When an anxious animal enters your energy field, your field's higher frequencies begin to entrain the animal's frequencies toward calm. When an aggressive creature comes into your presence, your consciousness begins to influence the creature's state toward peace. This isn't something you do consciously. This is what you are. This is how your energy field naturally functions. This is the automatic effect of consciousness operating at higher frequencies encountering consciousness operating at lower frequencies. The higher frequencies naturally elevate the lower. The peaceful naturally calms the disturbed. The loving naturally soothes the fearful. You carry these higher frequencies because of who you are spiritually, because of the work you've done on yourself consciously or unconsciously, because of your natural connection to divine source that operates through you whether you're actively thinking about it or not. When animals behave unusually around you, they're responding to these frequencies. They're being affected by your energy field. They're experiencing state changes because of what you carry in your consciousness. This is confirmation that you operate at levels beyond the normal human experience, that your energy field functions at frequencies that affect reality around you, that your consciousness carries power to influence states, to shift energies, to transform environments simply through your presence. The fifth type of encounter that reveals your chosen nature is when animals seem to understand you beyond normal communication. This is when you speak to an animal and it responds as if comprehending not just your tone but your actual meaning. When you make eye contact with a creature and feel genuine communication happening beyond words. When you sense an animal understanding your thoughts or feelings without any physical expression of those internal states. This happens because consciousness can communicate directly with consciousness when both parties operate at frequencies that allow such connection. Animals naturally operate at these frequencies because they haven't developed the mental barriers, the egoic filters, the intellectual obstacles that block direct consciousness to consciousness communication in most humans. You, however, because of your spiritual nature, because of your energetic development, because of your connection to dimensions beyond the purely mental, you maintain capacity for this direct communication that most humans have lost. When you look into an animal's eyes and feel seen, really seen, that's real. When you sense an animal understanding your emotional state without you expressing it physically, that's accurate perception on your part, not projection. When you communicate an intention to an animal and the creature responds appropriately, that's genuine transmission occurring at frequencies beyond verbal language, beyond physical gesture, beyond normal sensory channels. This happens because your consciousness operates at frequencies where telepathic communication is possible, where direct knowing occurs naturally, where understanding happens instantly without need for translation through words or physical expression. Animals live at these frequencies constantly. You access these frequencies because of who you are spiritually, because of how your consciousness functions, because of your connection to ways of knowing that transcend the limitations of verbal language and physical senses. When animals understand you beyond normal communication, cherish these moments as confirmations that you carry capacities most humans have forgotten, that you access dimensions most people no longer perceive, that you maintain connections that modern society has largely severed. These encounters remind you that you're more than just a physical being moving through a material world, that you're a multidimensional consciousness capable of communication and connection at levels beyond the ordinary human experience. The sixth type of encounter that reveals your chosen nature is when animals appear during your spiritual practices or elevated states. This is when creatures show up during or immediately after meditation, when animals appear while you're praying or doing spiritual work, when beings from nature make their presence known during moments when your consciousness is operating at heightened frequencies, when your awareness is expanded beyond normal waking state, when your energy field is vibrating at levels above your typical baseline. This happens because your elevated states make you even more visible, more attractive, more magnetic to animals who are always perceiving reality at frequencies where spiritual dimensions are apparent. When you meditate, when you pray, when you do spiritual practice, your consciousness shifts into frequencies that are closer to the frequencies animals naturally operate at. You become more like them in terms of how you're perceiving reality, more aligned with their way of experiencing existence, more resonant with their natural state of awareness. In these moments, animals recognize you as even more of a kindred spirit than usual, as even more of a safe presence than normal, as someone operating at frequencies even closer to source than your typical state. So they approach, they appear, they make themselves known because they're drawn to those elevated frequencies, attracted to that heightened energy, pulled toward that expanded consciousness like metal to magnet, like river to ocean, like soul to source. If you notice animals appearing during your spiritual practices, understand that this is confirmation you're doing something that's working, that your practices are actually shifting your consciousness, that your spiritual work is genuinely elevating your frequencies. The animals are showing you what you can't see with physical eyes, confirming what you might doubt with logical mind, validating what you sense intuitively but might question intellectually. Pay attention to which animals appear during which practices. Different spiritual activities generate different frequencies, and different animals resonate with different frequencies. Birds might appear during practices that expand your awareness upward, that connect you with higher perspectives, that elevate your consciousness toward celestial dimensions. Earth animals might appear during grounding practices, during work that connects you with body wisdom, during activities that root your spiritual awareness in physical form. Water animals might appear during emotional release work, during practices that move stuck energies, during activities that help you flow with rather than resist what is. The seventh type of encounter that reveals your chosen nature is when baby animals are brought to you or trust you immediately. This is particularly significant because young creatures, even more than adults, operate from pure instinct, from unfiltered perception, from awareness uncontaminated by learned fears or conditioned responses. A baby animal's trust is perhaps the purest measure of your energy's quality, the most honest reflection of what you carry in your consciousness, the most accurate indication of your spiritual nature. When a mother animal brings her young to you, when baby creatures approach you without hesitation, when young beings show trust in your presence that they don't show with others, this is profound confirmation of your spiritual purity, your energetic cleanliness, your consciousness operating from frequencies of absolute safety. Baby animals haven't yet learned to fake responses, haven't developed defenses that might mask their true perception, haven't acquired filters that might distort their natural sensing of energy and intention. Their trust is completely authentic, totally genuine, absolutely real. If a baby animal trusts you, you are trustworthy at the deepest levels. If young creatures feel safe with you, you are safe in the truest sense. If infant beings approach you without fear, you carry frequencies that communicate absolute benevolence, pure love, genuine care at levels that cannot be faked, cannot be manufactured, cannot be pretended. This is one of the highest confirmations nature can offer you about who you are spiritually, about what you carry energetically, about how your consciousness operates in reality. Treasure these encounters. Honor these moments. Recognize them as validations from the universe itself, delivered through the most honest messengers available, confirmed by beings whose perception is uncorrupted by anything except pure truth, absolute instinct, genuine knowing. The eighth type of encounter that reveals your chosen nature is when animals act as protectors or guardians around you. This is when creatures position themselves between you and potential threats, when animals become unusually alert or defensive in ways that seem to guard your well-being, when beings from nature take actions that appear designed to protect you from dangers you might not even perceive. This happens because animals can sense threats at levels beyond human perception, can detect dangers before they manifest in obvious ways, can perceive energies and intentions that humans miss because we've become disconnected from our instinctive awareness. When an animal senses a threat to you and when that animal has recognized you as someone worthy of protection, someone special, someone who carries frequencies that mark you as important to preserve, the creature may take protective action on your behalf. You might have experienced a dog positioning itself between you and a person whose energy felt wrong, even though their behavior seemed normal. You might have noticed birds creating unusual commotion when you were about to walk into a situation that would have harmed you. You might have seen animals behaving in ways that changed your path, that redirected your route, that influenced your choices in ways that, looking back, kept you safe from dangers you didn't consciously perceive. These aren't coincidences. These are animals serving as guardians, as protectors, as defenders of someone they recognize as precious, as important, as necessary to preserve. This happens to chosen ones because the universe works through all available channels to keep you safe, to ensure your survival, to protect your presence for the completion of your purpose, the fulfillment of your mission, the accomplishment of your divine assignment. When animals act as protectors around you, understand that you're being guarded at levels beyond human capacity, defended by forces working through creatures whose senses detect what yours miss, protected by consciousness operating through beings whose awareness perceives dimensions you can't directly access. This is the universe ensuring your safety, divine intelligence maintaining your protection, cosmic forces, cosmic, preserving your presence through whatever channels are available, including the animals who recognize your importance and respond to your frequencies with protective loyalty. The ninth type of encounter that reveals your chosen nature is when animals appear repeatedly or in unusual numbers. This is when the same species shows up again and again during a particular period of your life, when creatures appear in groups when you'd normally only see them alone, when animals manifest in quantities or patterns that seem statistically improbable, that feel meaningful beyond coincidence, that appear designed to get your attention, to deliver a message, to communicate something important. When this happens, the universe is speaking to you through repetition, through emphasis, through undeniable pattern that breaks through even the most skeptical logical mind. One hawk flying overhead could be chance. Hawks appearing every day for a week is communication. One butterfly landing on you could be random. Butterflies surrounding you repeatedly is messaging. One deer crossing your path could be coincidence. Deer appearing at significant moments consistently is confirmation of something operating beyond chance, beyond accident, beyond normal probability. Pay attention to these patterns. Keep track of these repetitions. Note these unusual occurrences. The species that appears repeatedly carries specific meaning for your current life situation, specific guidance for your present circumstances, specific wisdom for your immediate needs. The universe, unable to speak to you in human language, unable to text you instructions, unable to email you guidance, works through available channels. And animals, still connected to natural order, still operating from instinctive attunement to divine intelligence, serve as perfect vehicles for these communications. Research the symbolism of the species appearing repeatedly. But more importantly, feel into what this creature means to you personally, what associations you have with this animal, what this being represents in your unique understanding. The message is tailored to you specifically. The communication is calibrated to your particular consciousness. The guidance is designed for your individual situation. So your personal interpretation, your intuitive feeling, your unique association with this creature matters more than generic symbolic meanings found in books or on websites. Now let's talk about what all of these encounters mean collectively, about what they reveal about your nature, about why animals gravitate to you with such consistency, such intensity, such obvious preference. You carry frequencies that animals recognize as close to source, as connected to divine intelligence, as resonant with natural order. Your consciousness operates at levels that haven't been completely disconnected from the web of awareness that connects all living beings, that haven't been totally severed from the unified field that animals naturally perceive, that haven't been entirely blocked by the filters and walls that separate most modern humans from direct perception of reality's deeper dimensions. You are, in a very real sense, a bridge between worlds, a translator between frequencies, a connector between dimensions that have become separated in human consciousness but remain unified in animal awareness. The animals recognize this in you. They sense it in your energy field. They respond to it through their behavior. They're drawn to it like beings naturally gravitate toward what feels like home, like consciousness naturally seeks what feels like source, like awareness naturally moves toward what feels like truth. This is why animals trust you differently than they trust others. This is why creatures approach you with less fear than they show most humans. This is why beings from nature seem to single you out, to choose you specifically, to interact with you differently than they do with the majority of people they encounter. You carry something they recognize, something they're drawn to, something that speaks to their instinctive awareness in a language beyond words but more clear than any verbal communication could ever be. You are chosen, and the animals know it. They confirm it through their behavior. They validate it through their trust. They demonstrate it through their preference for your presence, their comfort in your field, their willingness to be vulnerable with you in ways they don't show others. Every encounter has been a message. Every interaction has been communication. Every connection has been confirmation that you operate at frequencies most humans have forgotten, that you carry consciousness most people have lost access to, that you maintain connections most modern humans have severed. Walk forward knowing this, chosen one. You are recognized by beings whose perception is uncorrupted by ego, whose awareness is unfiltered by doubt, whose knowing is undistorted by fear. The animals see you truly, respond to you authentically, trust you genuinely. Their behavior toward you reveals what you are, confirms who you are, validates what you carry. These encounters aren't random. They're recognition, they're communication, they're confirmation from the universe itself, delivered through messengers who cannot lie, who cannot fake, who cannot pretend. You are seen. You are known. You are confirmed as chosen by the very beings who operate at frequencies where truth cannot be hidden, where essence cannot be disguised, where nature is perceived without the filters that cloud human perception. Honor these encounters. Trust these confirmations. Know that every animal that gravitates to you is showing you what you are, reflecting back what you carry, demonstrating what operates in you that makes you different from the masses who walk through nature barely noticed by the creatures around them. You are chosen. The animals know it. And their knowing is pure truth, unfiltered reality, genuine confirmation from sources that cannot be deceived, that will not be fooled, that respond only to what actually is rather than what appears to be. This is your truth. This is your confirmation. This is your validation delivered through the most honest messengers nature has to offer. The animals who gravitate to you because they recognize what you are, respond to what you carry, trust who you are at levels beyond human comprehension.